My name is Bittersbeitters, and I want to talk about the recent drama with Cinder. It's honestly a bit crazy. I just wanted to talk about the community side of things with VTubers. I have been a VTuber for quite some time, trying to figure out what to do, how to do it, who am I as a VTuber and an entertainer and stuff like that. And I've learned quite a bit about being a VTuber, and there are rules and guidelines. Just for a bit of context, VTuber-wise, I was once a VTuber called Mara Banshee, then Mara, and then it spiraled into a bit of chaos trying to figure out who I am. I think it started around 2021. Somewhere between the beginning or end of COVID I started. And I have seen quite a few dramas over those years, but nothing has compared to this one from memory. There's been some dramas that I can remember, but can't remember the specifics of them. But I did post a tweet about all of this and the community and what it could lead up to. So I'll read from there. It's honestly an interesting take, and I think it's a take that needs to be said because I don't think I've seen people talk about this part of the situation. Don't know if anyone will read, but here is my take as an outsider on the Cinder situation from what I understand. Thought I'd post it here instead of Tumblr. So, the fallout from the Cinder drama goes beyond her former friends and the people that she pretty much screwed over. It risks making VTuber collabs and the community feel more tense, feel less welcoming, especially for smaller creators who want to build themselves up through collaborations and make friends, or even if it's just business, like, it's a lot harder now. Because people might assume they're clout chasing, even when your intentions are genuine and you're just excited to connect. It's harder to trust strangers who want to collaborate. There are quite a few middle VTubers I would like to connect with that I've seen who look really entertaining one day, as well as some popular VTubers. It would be awesome to collaborate with somebody like Mother Khan and talk about Warhammer. Because of this sort of event, it's put a worm inside of our heads. Even now, or in the future when I'm more consistent with streaming, would somebody like Mara, if I were to talk to her or try and connect with her, think that I'm just using her? Or would she think it's something different? I'm not too sure. Because I think the largest amount of followers that I've had in one of my previous faces was about 500 followers on Twitch as Mara. But I didn't gain that through my own efforts. Some of them were, but it was through a connection that I had called Heisengard. I haven't been watching him recently because of anxiety and stuff, but because he kept shouting people out and I just interacted with that, I was able to build up through that connection. It makes me feel like, was I using that opportunity to grow, or was I using it as an opportunity to make friends back then? So I'm not too sure how to think about that. As I was building myself up from that, something happened personally in IRL. I became a bit desperate. And through that desperation, I made some anxiety choices. I think would be the best way to talk about that. Anxiety choices where I need a job. VTubing could be a good way to earn money, but to earn money, I need followers. So in the back of my brain, the decision of figuring this all out was an anxiety choice. And the anxiety choice was to become an interviewer. Around the same time, maybe a couple of months after, that news VTuber, Falside. About a month after him, I tried my hand at interviewing other VTubers. That was awesome. I wanted to interview VTubers not only to build up my followage. Back then, I did not have any friends. I was not talking to a lot of people. So I think in my own brain, I was like, yeah, I need to expand my horizons a bit. So I asked quite a few YouTubers if I could interview them to work on my talking skills. It did help quite a bit with my confidence, and it would be awesome to do something like that again. But in my brain, I'm like, would people see that as clout chasing? And I don't think it's just me who thinks that. It's going to be a lot harder for other people to go out and collaborate with others that they don't know. And when I interviewed Eye Candy, I figured out the feeling was that desperation of trying to fit in, trying to build myself up, trying to make a job out of this. And I think a lot of people have that same mentality of they really want to make a job out of something digital, something social media, like VTubing. I genuinely wanted to ask all those people if they wanted to game when I was interviewing them, but I was too anxious to even ask. I didn't want them to think that I was just using them to talk to somebody else. So even back then, that anxiety was there for me, but even more so now with the Sinder situation, I think it's with everybody else now. the interviews were pretty much an excuse to try and befriend a lot of people who have a lot of connections. I do recognize that. Back then it was definitely survival mode. Do as much as I can, make as much as I can. But then I just couldn't handle that. I understand the feeling of wanting to grow, of being jealous. At the time, I think somebody joined the VTubing community around about the same time, if not like a month after me. And they were able to get a lot more followers, whereas I only had a few. And it was frustrating. So that definitely played a big role in a lot of my switching, trying to figure out who I am, trying to figure out what works. And it can twist your mindset on VTubing. Rather than being entertaining, it's seen as more of a monetary type. Even not monetary, it can be like followage and you can get obsessed with it. And it can make you do things that are not fair for others and yourself especially, because back then with the interviews, I tried to interview almost every single day or once a week, somewhere between there, I think. And it just got out of hand. So I understand that I have been on both sides of the bridge. My advice to other tubers and people who are thinking about becoming a tuber: be honest about your intentions when you're collaborating. As scary as it is, like, if you want to be a friend, tell them. If you want to make a business connection, tell them that. Or if you want both, tell them that it would have fixed 50% of the dramas in the VTubing community, and it would give a lot more clarity to both parties. So don't close your door to connection. You need to be open to the idea of building yourself up, but also making a friend. That's the hardest part of being a VTuber. Getting through that anxiety. They might see me one way, but at least I've tried to chat with them. You can just ask, do you want to game or collab sometime? It's scary to ask, but at least you've tried. You might actually make either a business friend or a real friend. Just communicate with them. I'm scared about this asking. The back of my mind still says, am I really doing this for the right intentions and stuff? But at the end of the day, just ask. It makes things a bit easier. If they don't respond, they don't respond. Don't stalk them about it. The TLDR is to be honest with yourself and others. Want to collab? Say so. Want a friend? Say so. The VTuber space is built on connection, not competition. When VTubing skyrocketed, it was about connection, making these connections, whether it be for business purposes or for friendship purposes. It's a connection. Not like your competitor. Like, you can have friendly competition, but at the end of the day, it is friendly competition. So let's keep it open. Be kind to other people. Be patient, and you're not alone in these thoughts of anxiety. Try to collab with big names or creators we watch often. It's not always about clout. We just know them better. We feel safer because we know what to expect. Because we've watched them collaborate with other people. We've watched them talk to chat. So we're more familiar with bigger creators because we know them. We know their humor, their energy. It's familiar, and that's comforting, which makes reaching out less risky. But you're that totally new person to them, so you have to explain who you are and what you want. There was a tweet from a person called Magnus, and they said that looking for friends was their original goal. They didn't care about the numbers, but now, after the whole Cinder ordeal, they're really wary about making friends in the space. It's scary, but it shouldn't be like that in the community. If we don't talk about this sort of stuff, then we're just going to lose a lot of those connections, whether it be for business or be for friendship. So yeah, I think that covered most of what I wanted to say. Have a good day.